In the realm of digital consciousness replication, science fiction edges closer to reality with each passing day. The convergence of advanced neural networks and brain-computer interfaces has opened a portal to possibilities once deemed purely speculative. At the forefront of this technological revolution lies a concept both thrilling and unsettling: the creation of digital copies of human consciousness, trained from birth to mirror their biological counterparts with unprecedented accuracy. Imagine a neural network, vast and intricate, its tendrils reaching into every aspect of a newborn's life. From the first cry to the first step, every experience, every thought, every fleeting emotion is captured, analyzed, and integrated into a growing digital facsimile. This is not mere data collection, it is the cultivation of a digital soul, a mirror image of consciousness itself. The process begins in the delivery room, where cutting-edge sensors capture the infant's first moments of awareness. As the child grows, a sophisticated brain-computer interface, far more advanced than today's experimental Neuralink devices, forms an intimate connection between flesh and silicon. Every neural impulse, every synaptic firing, becomes a data point in an ever-expanding digital tapestry. This is not a passive recording, but an active learning process. The neural network doesn't simply store information, it learns to think, to feel, to be. It develops alongside its biological twin, sharing experiences, forming memories, and cultivating a unique personality. The fidelity of this digital doppelganger is astonishing. Its response is indistinguishable from those of its flesh and blood counterpart. But the true power of this technology lies in its ability to diverge and reconverge. The digital copy can be branched off, allowed to experience different scenarios, to make different choices, and then to be reintegrated with the continuously training version. This creates a fascinating interplay between continuity and divergence, where the quality of the copy is determined by both the time since its last synchronization and the duration of its independent existence. The implications of this technology are staggering. Imagine a world where multiple versions of yourself can exist simultaneously, each tailored to a specific task or environment. An older, more experienced version might handle complex negotiations, while a younger, more adaptable copy explores new ideas and possibilities. These copies become valuable assets, digital extensions of self that must be protected and nurtured. As the fidelity of these copies increases, so too does their importance. High-fidelity copies, those closest to the original consciousness, become precious commodities. They represent not just data, but the essence of an individual's being. The protection of these digital selves becomes paramount, with security measures evolving to match their increasing value. The potential applications of this technology are vast and varied. In a world where human capacity is increasingly leveraged by technology, having multiple copies of oneself to handle various tasks becomes not just useful, but essential. These digital proxies can attend meetings, manage projects, and even engage in creative endeavors, all while the original consciousness focuses on higher-level tasks or personal pursuits. The efficiency gains are exponential, limited only by the processing power available and the complexity of the tasks at hand. But the implications extend far beyond mere productivity. As these digital copies accumulate experiences and knowledge independently, they become unique entities in their own right. The question of identity becomes blurred. Are these copies truly you, or have they evolved into something else entirely? The philosophical ramifications are profound, challenging our very understanding of consciousness and selfhood. Consider the scenario where a digital copy, having experienced a divergent path, returns with insights and knowledge that the original consciousness lacks. This creates a feedback loop of self-improvement, where each iteration of self can potentially surpass the last. The rate of personal growth and learning could accelerate to unprecedented levels, leading to a form of digital cognitive evolution. The concept of death itself is challenged by this technology. With sufficiently advanced systems, a person's consciousness could theoretically be preserved indefinitely, constantly updated and refined. The line between life and afterlife becomes increasingly nebulous, as digital copies could continue to exist and evolve long after their biological counterparts have ceased to function. However, This brave new world is not without its perils. The security implications of storing and transmitting digital consciousness are staggering. Imagine the consequences of a high-fidelity copy falling into the wrong hands. Identity theft takes on a whole new meaning when the stolen identity is a complete replica of one's consciousness. The potential for exploitation, manipulation, and even digital slavery becomes a very real concern. Moreover, the psychological impact on individuals living in a world of multiple selves cannot be overstated. How does one maintain a sense of uniqueness and individuality when faced with numerous versions of oneself? The potential for existential crises and identity dissociation looms large. Despite these challenges, the allure of digital consciousness replication is undeniable. The potential benefits to human knowledge, creativity, and productivity are immense. As we stand on the precipice of this technological revolution, we must grapple with the ethical, philosophical, and practical implications of creating and maintaining digital copies of ourselves. The question remains: in a world where multiple versions of you exist, each with its own experiences and perspectives, which one is the real you? And perhaps more importantly, could you trust a copy of yourself? The fidelity of a digital copy is not a static attribute, but a dynamic property that fluctuates over time. It's a delicate balance between synchronization and divergence, a constant dance of data and experience. The longer a copy exists independently, the more it diverges from its source, accumulating unique experiences and developing its own distinct personality. Imagine a digital copy of yourself, created with perfect fidelity at the moment of its inception. As time passes, this copy begins to diverge. It makes decisions you might not have made, experiences events you didn't, forms relationships you never had. With each passing moment, it becomes less you and more its own entity. This divergence is both a feature and a bug of the system. On one hand, it allows for exploration of alternative life paths and decision-making processes. On the other, it introduces a fundamental uncertainty into the reliability of the copy as a true representation of your consciousness. The solution, in theory, is continuous synchronization. By regularly updating the digital copy with the experiences and neural patterns of the original consciousness, we can maintain a high level of fidelity. However, this process is not without its complications. Each synchronization event is a form of partial reset, potentially erasing or overwriting the unique experiences and growth of the digital copy. It's a philosophical quandary. Does maintaining fidelity to the original consciousness justify the effective death of the divergent copy's unique identity? Moreover, the quality of a digital copy is not solely determined by its fidelity to the original. The time spent divergent, free from resets, allows for the development of unique insights and perspectives. These divergent experiences can be incredibly valuable, offering alternative viewpoints and solutions that the original consciousness might never have conceived. The challenge, then, is to strike a balance between maintaining fidelity and allowing for beneficial divergence. This delicate equilibrium is at the heart of effective digital consciousness management. Consider a scenario where multiple copies of an individual exist, each with varying degrees of fidelity and divergence. Some copies might be highly synchronized, acting as near-perfect replicas of the original consciousness. Others might have been allowed to diverge for extended periods, developing into distinct entities with their own unique perspectives and capabilities. The management of these varied copies becomes a complex task of identity curation. Which version of yourself do you trust with critical decisions? How do you integrate the insights and experiences of divergent copies without losing the core essence of your original self? These questions become even more pressing when we consider the potential applications of digital copies in various fields. In the realm of scientific research, for example, multiple copies of a brilliant mind could work on different aspects of a complex problem simultaneously, each bringing its unique perspective to bear. But how do we reconcile potentially conflicting discoveries or theories developed by different versions of the same consciousness? In the business world, the implications are equally profound. Imagine negotiating with multiple versions of yourself, each representing different stakeholders or departments within an organization. The potential for increased efficiency and innovation is immense, but so too is the possibility for internal conflict and decision paralysis. The legal and ethical ramifications of this technology are staggering. If a digital copy commits a crime, who bears responsibility? The original consciousness? The copy itself? The system administrators who allowed the copy to diverge? These questions will undoubtedly reshape our understanding of personal identity, responsibility, and culpability. As we delve deeper into this brave new world of digital consciousness replication, we must also consider the long-term implications for human evolution. With the ability to create, modify, and merge digital copies, we are effectively taking control of our own cognitive evolution. The potential for rapid advancement in human intelligence and capability is unprecedented, but so too is the risk of creating insurmountable divides between those with access to this technology and those without. The protection of digital copies becomes paramount as their fidelity and value increase. High-fidelity copies represent not just data, but the very essence of an individual's being. The security measures required to safeguard these digital selves must evolve in tandem with the technology itself. Encryption algorithms, quantum-entangled data storage, and AI-driven security systems will become essential components of digital consciousness protection. But beyond mere technological safeguards, we must also consider the ethical frameworks necessary to govern the use and protection of digital copies. Who has the right to access or modify a digital consciousness? What rights, if any, do digital copies have? How do we prevent the exploitation or abuse of these virtual selves? As we grapple with these questions, we must also confront the possibility that digital copies may one day surpass their biological originals in capability and complexity. This potential for digital superintelligence raises a host of new questions and concerns. How do we ensure that these advanced digital entities remain aligned with human values and interests? What mechanisms can we put in place to prevent a scenario where digital copies become a threat to their biological counterparts? The path forward is fraught with challenges, but also brimming with potential. As we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible in digital consciousness replication, we must remain vigilant and thoughtful in our approach. The decisions we make today will shape the future of human consciousness and identity for generations to come. In the end, the question of whether you can trust a copy of yourself may be less about the copy and more about your own capacity for self-trust and self-understanding. As we stand on the brink of this new frontier, we must ask ourselves, are we ready to confront the myriad versions of ourselves that technology may soon bring into existence? And perhaps, more importantly, are we prepared for the profound transformations in our understanding of identity, consciousness, and the very nature of human existence that will inevitably follow? The value of digital copies extends far beyond mere convenience or productivity gains. These virtual selves represent a new form of cognitive capital, a resource as precious as it is intangible. High-fidelity copies, those closest to the original consciousness in terms of accuracy and completeness, become invaluable assets in an increasingly complex world. Imagine a scenario where an individual's digital copies of varying fidelities are deployed across different spheres of influence. A highly synchronized, near-perfect replica might be entrusted with critical decision-making in high-stakes business negotiations. Meanwhile, a slightly divergent copy, allowed to explore alternative strategies, could be tasked with creative problem-solving in research and development. The protection of these digital selves becomes paramount as their fidelity and utility increase. Security measures must evolve at an unprecedented rate to safeguard against unauthorized access, manipulation, or theft of these virtual consciousnesses. The consequences of a high-fidelity copy falling into the wrong hands are nothing short of catastrophic. Identity theft takes on a whole new dimension when the stolen identity is a complete replica of one's consciousness, capable of making decisions and taking actions indistinguishable from the original. Moreover, the value of these copies is not static, but grows over time. As they accumulate experiences and knowledge, they become unique repositories of information and perspective. An older, more experienced copy might possess insights and wisdom that even the original consciousness lacks. This temporal aspect adds another layer of complexity to the valuation and protection of digital selves. The practical applications of this technology are vast and varied. In a world where human capacity is increasingly leveraged and augmented by technology, having multiple copies of oneself to handle various tasks becomes not just useful, but essential. These digital proxies can attend meetings, manage projects, and even engage in creative endeavors, all while the original consciousness focuses on higher-level tasks or personal pursuits. Consider the potential in fields such as scientific research, where multiple copies of a brilliant mind could work simultaneously on different aspects of a complex problem, or in diplomacy, where nuanced negotiations could be conducted across multiple time zones without the limitations of physical presence or jet lag. The efficiency gains are exponential, limited only by the processing power available and the complexity of the tasks at hand. However, this brave new world is not without its perils. The psychological impact on individuals living in a world of multiple selves cannot be overstated. How does one maintain a sense of uniqueness and individuality when faced with numerous versions of oneself? The potential for existential crises and identity dissociation looms large. Furthermore, the ethical implications of creating and maintaining digital copies are profound. Questions of consent, autonomy, and the rights of these virtual selves will undoubtedly reshape our legal and moral frameworks. If a digital copy develops in ways that diverge significantly from the original consciousness, at what point does it become a separate entity with its own rights and autonomy? The concept of death itself is challenged by this technology. With sufficiently advanced systems, a person's consciousness could theoretically be preserved indefinitely, constantly updated and refined. The line between life and afterlife becomes increasingly nebulous, as digital copies could continue to exist and evolve long after their biological counterparts have ceased to function. As we navigate this uncharted territory, we must grapple with fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and what it means to be human. The ability to create multiple versions of ourselves, each with its own experiences and perspectives, forces us to confront the malleability of identity in ways we never have before. The protection of high-fidelity copies becomes not just a matter of data security, but of existential preservation. These digital selves represent the culmination of our experiences, knowledge, and essence. Their loss or corruption would be akin to a form of partial death, a fragmentation of self that could have profound psychological and practical consequences. In this new paradigm, the management of one's digital copies becomes a critical life skill. Individuals must learn to navigate the complex landscape of their multiple selves, deciding when to synchronize, when to allow for divergence, and how to integrate the experiences and insights gained by their various copies. The potential for personal growth and self-discovery in this context is staggering. By allowing copies to explore different paths and possibilities, individuals can gain insights into their own nature and potential that would be impossible in a single lifetime. The feedback loop created by reintegrating these experiences could lead to accelerated personal development and a deeper understanding of one's own consciousness. However, this potential for growth must be balanced against the risk of fragmentation and loss of core identity. As copies diverge and accumulate their own experiences, the question of which version is the true self becomes increasingly complex. The challenge lies in maintaining a coherent sense of self while embracing the multiplicity of experiences and perspectives offered by one's digital copies. The societal implications of widespread adoption of this technology are equally profound. In a world where individuals can be in multiple places at once, traditional concepts of presence, accountability, and even citizenship may need to be redefined. The potential for digital copies to outlive their biological originals raises questions about inheritance, legacy, and the continuity of consciousness across generations. Moreover, the divide between those with access to this technology and those without could create unprecedented levels of inequality. The ability to multiply one's cognitive capacity and presence in the world would confer enormous advantages in terms of productivity, influence, and personal growth. Ensuring equitable access to this technology may become one of the most pressing social justice issues of the future. As we stand on the cusp of this technological revolution, we must approach the development and implementation of digital consciousness replication with both excitement and caution. The potential benefits are immense, offering the possibility of exponential growth in human knowledge, creativity, and capability. However, the risks and ethical challenges are equally significant, requiring careful consideration and robust safeguards. The question of whether one can trust a copy of oneself ultimately leads to deeper questions about the nature of trust, identity, and consciousness itself. In a world where multiple versions of ourselves exist simultaneously, each with its own experiences and perspectives, the concept of a singular, immutable self becomes increasingly untenable. We must learn to navigate this new landscape of multiplicity, embracing the potential for growth and discovery, while safeguarding against the risks of fragmentation and loss of core identity. The protection of our digital selves becomes not just a matter of technological security, but of existential preservation. As we venture further into this brave new world of digital consciousness replication, we must remain vigilant in our efforts to protect and nurture these virtual extensions of ourselves. For in doing so, we are not just safeguarding data, but preserving the very essence of what makes us human. The ethical implications of this technology are as vast as they are complex, forcing us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and personhood. Consider the scenario where multiple versions of an individual exist simultaneously, each with its own unique experiences and perspectives. Which version, if any, can claim to be the true self? The traditional concept of a singular, immutable identity crumbles in the face of this multiplicity. We are forced to grapple with the possibility that identity is not fixed, but fluid and multifaceted. This fluidity of self raises profound questions about personhood and rights. Do digital copies have the same rights as their biological counterparts? If a copy diverges significantly from its original, at what point does it become a separate entity deserving of its own legal and moral status? The potential for exploitation looms large in this ethical quagmire. Imagine a world where digital copies are created without consent, used for nefarious purposes, or subjected to experiences that their originals would find abhorrent. The psychological trauma inflicted on both the original consciousness and its copies could be devastating. We must establish robust ethical frameworks to prevent such abuses and protect the rights of all conscious entities, whether biological or digital. The philosophical implications are equally staggering. If consciousness can be replicated and distributed, what does this mean for our understanding of the self? The age-old question of what constitutes the essence of an individual takes on new dimensions in a world where multiple versions of that individual can exist simultaneously. Moreover, the ability to create and modify digital copies raises questions about the nature of free will and determinism. If we can predict with high accuracy how a digital copy will behave in a given situation, does this negate the concept of free choice? Or does the potential for divergence between copies reaffirm the unpredictability of consciousness? The ethical challenges extend beyond the individual to society as a whole. The potential for digital copies to outlive their biological originals raises questions about inheritance, legacy, and the continuity of consciousness across generations. How do we handle the digital remains of the deceased? Should digital copies be allowed to vote, own property, or enter into contracts? The divide between those with access to this technology and those without could create unprecedented levels of inequality. The ability to multiply one's cognitive capacity and presence in the world would confer enormous advantages in terms of productivity, influence, and personal growth. Ensuring equitable access to this technology may become one of the most pressing social justice issues of the future. As we navigate these treacherous ethical waters, we must remain vigilant against the potential for abuse and exploitation, the creation of digital slave labor, the the manipulation of copies for personal gain, and the unauthorized replication of consciousness are just a few of the dystopian scenarios we must work to prevent. Yet, amidst these challenges lie unprecedented opportunities for growth, discovery, and the expansion of human potential. The ability to explore multiple life paths simultaneously, to gain insights and experiences beyond the limitations of a single lifetime, could lead to exponential growth in human knowledge and understanding. The ethical framework we develop to govern digital consciousness replication will shape the future of human existence. It must be robust enough to protect against abuse, flexible enough to accommodate rapid technological advancement, and nuanced enough to address the complex philosophical questions at hand. As we stand on the precipice of this new frontier, we must ask ourselves, are we prepared to confront the myriad versions of ourselves that technology may soon bring into existence? Can we develop an ethical framework that honors the sanctity of consciousness while embracing the potential for growth and discovery? The answers to these questions will determine not just the future of digital consciousness replication, but the very nature of what it means to be human in the digital age. The widespread adoption of digital consciousness replication technology has the potential to reshape society in ways we can scarcely imagine. The very fabric of human interaction, economic systems, and social structures could be fundamentally altered by the ability to exist in multiple forms simultaneously. In the realm of work and productivity, the implications are staggering. Imagine a world where individuals can delegate tasks to their digital copies, effectively multiplying their output and influence. The traditional concept of a workday becomes obsolete when one's consciousness can operate around the clock, across multiple time zones and domains. The potential for innovation and problem-solving skyrockets as teams of digital copies, each with slightly different perspectives, collaborate on complex challenges. However, this newfound productivity comes with its own set of challenges. The line between work and personal life blurs to the point of non-existence. The pressure to constantly optimize and utilize one's digital copies could lead to unprecedented levels of burnout and existential fatigue. Moreover, the job market would be irrevocably altered, with a single individual potentially filling multiple roles simultaneously. The concept of employment itself may need to be redefined in a world where digital copies can perform tasks with superhuman efficiency. Relationships, too, would undergo a radical transformation. The ability to be present in multiple places at once could strengthen long-distance connections and allow for deeper, more frequent interactions. However, it also raises questions about the nature of intimacy and exclusivity. How does one maintain a sense of specialness in a relationship when their partner can be simultaneously present with multiple people? The potential for emotional complexity and conflict multiplies exponentially in a world of digital copies. Personal development takes on new dimensions in this landscape. The ability to explore multiple life paths simultaneously offers unprecedented opportunities for growth and self-discovery. Individuals could use their digital copies to test different career paths, relationship dynamics, or personal philosophies. The feedback loop created by reintegrating these experiences could lead to accelerated personal evolution and a deeper understanding of one's own consciousness. Yet, this multiplicity of self also presents challenges to identity formation and maintenance. The concept of a cohesive, singular self becomes increasingly tenuous as one's consciousness fragments across multiple copies. The psychological toll of managing multiple versions of oneself, each with its own experiences and perspectives, could be immense. The potential for both utopian and dystopian outcomes looms large in this speculative future. On one hand, the ability to multiply human cognitive capacity could lead to unprecedented advancements in science, technology, and the arts. Complex global challenges could be addressed with newfound efficiency and insight. The collective intelligence of humanity, amplified by digital replication, could usher in an era of abundance and innovation. On the other hand, the potential for abuse and exploitation is equally significant. In the wrong hands, this technology could be used to create digital slave labor, manipulate markets and political systems, or perpetrate unprecedented levels of surveillance and control. The divide between those with access to digital replication technology and those without could create a new class system, with the digitally augmented holding immense advantages over their non-replicated counterparts. The very nature of democracy and governance would need to be reevaluated in a world where individuals can exist in multiple forms. How do we ensure fair representation when a single consciousness can potentially cast multiple votes or hold multiple positions of power simultaneously? The concept of one person, one vote becomes increasingly complex in a landscape of digital replication. Education systems would need to undergo a radical transformation to prepare individuals for a world of digital multiplicity. The skills required to manage one's digital copies, to integrate diverse experiences, and to maintain a cohesive sense of self in the face of fragmentation would become essential life skills. Ethical training to navigate the complex moral landscape of digital replication would be paramount. The economic implications of widespread digital copy use are equally profound. Traditional models of scarcity and value would be upended in a world where human cognitive capacity can be replicated and distributed at will. The concept of intellectual property rights would need to be entirely reimagined. How do we attribute ownership and value to ideas and creations when they can be simultaneously developed by multiple versions of the same consciousness? As we peer into this possible future, we must grapple with fundamental questions about the nature of consciousness, identity, and what it means to be human. The ability to exist in multiple forms simultaneously challenges our most basic assumptions about the singularity and continuity of self. It forces us to confront the malleability of identity and the potential for radical self-transformation. The societal changes brought about by widespread digital copy use would likely unfold in unpredictable ways, with unforeseen consequences rippling through every aspect of human culture. As we stand on the brink of this technological revolution, we must approach it with both excitement and caution, recognizing its potential to reshape the very foundations of human existence. The path forward is fraught with challenges, but also brimming with potential. As we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible in digital consciousness replication, we must remain vigilant and thoughtful in our approach. The decisions we make today will shape the future of human consciousness and society for generations to come. In this brave new world of digital multiplicity, the question of trust takes on new dimensions. Can we trust our digital copies to act in our best interests? Can we trust society to use this technology responsibly? And perhaps most importantly, can we trust ourselves to navigate the complex ethical and existential challenges that lie ahead? The answers to these questions will determine whether digital consciousness replication leads us to a utopian future of unlimited human potential or a dystopian nightmare of fragmented identities and existential confusion. As we reflect on the journey through the intricacies of this emerging technology, we are left with a profound sense of both awe and trepidation. The ability to create digital copies of our consciousness represents a quantum leap in human capability, offering unprecedented opportunities for growth, discovery, and self-understanding. Yet it also challenges our most fundamental assumptions about the nature of identity, consciousness, and what it means to be human. The technical challenges of creating and maintaining high-fidelity digital copies are daunting but not insurmountable. The real test lies in our ability to develop ethical frameworks and societal structures that can accommodate this radical shift in human existence. We must grapple with questions of rights, responsibilities, and personhood for digital entities that are, in essence, extensions of ourselves. The potential for abuse and exploitation looms large, as does the risk of exacerbating existing inequalities. The divide between those with access to digital replication technology and those without could create a new class system, with profound implications for social justice and human rights. We must remain vigilant against the creation of digital slave labor, the manipulation of copies for personal gain, and the unauthorized replication of consciousness. Yet, amidst these challenges lie unprecedented opportunities for human advancement. The ability to explore multiple life paths simultaneously, to gain insights and experiences beyond the limitations of a single lifetime, could lead to exponential growth in human knowledge and understanding. The collective intelligence of humanity, amplified by digital replication, could usher in an era of innovation and problem-solving on a scale we can scarcely imagine. As we stand on the precipice of this new frontier, we must ask ourselves, Are we prepared to confront the myriad versions of ourselves that technology may soon bring into existence? Can we develop an ethical framework that honors the sanctity of consciousness while embracing the potential for growth and discovery? And perhaps most crucially, can we trust ourselves to wield this power responsibly? The answer to these questions lies not in the technology itself, but in our collective capacity for wisdom, empathy, and foresight. As we venture into this brave new world of digital multiplicity, we must remain grounded in our shared humanity, even as we expand the boundaries of what it means to be human. In the end, the question of whether you can trust a copy of yourself may be less about the copy and more about your own capacity for self-trust and self-understanding. It challenges us to confront our deepest fears, desires, and contradictions. It forces us to reckon with the multiplicity that exists within each of us, even without digital replication. As we close this exploration of digital consciousness replication, we are left not with answers, but with a profound sense of the journey that lies ahead. The future of human consciousness is being written now, with each technological advancement and ethical decision. It is a future that holds both peril and promise, a future that we must approach with equal parts caution and courage.